Hello, everybody, and welcome to another multidimensional soul. This one's going to be a little bit shorter than usual, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first of all, I'm joined by the amazing,
Robert Lomax. Thank you.
there we go, and I'm Gary from Alternative Interactions. This is going to be a short show, but it's going to be a very poignant one. There's a point that we feel that needs to be made at this stage in time. You know, the pin in the timeline, okay? And that is that contact is now. What I'm doing with Robert is alien contact on a way that I'm able to, and you as the audience are going to be able to and can ask questions to get answers from. This is the real deal. Rob's the real deal. Olaka and Temedi are the real deal. Trust me. I have asked Robert questions in private that there's no way he can know the answers to. And he's come up with the correct, for my capacity, my understanding, the correct answers every single time. We're talking to fundamentally beings, races that are flying the UFO craft in our skies. Robert is multi-selfing, connecting to these energies, these beings, ourselves almost. This is an opportunity. This is the beginning of almost the contact to the wider realm, the wider world, as it were. This is an opportunity for everybody to engage. Now, Robert, what would you like to say about that, or what would Antemedy like to say?
Thank you. I'm very pleased that you introduced me in such a way. Can I refer to the word alien as being something that you is different to your way of being? We wouldn't consider ourselves to be alien in that sense because our souls are interconnected. We are interdimensional, multi-dimensional beings. There's a difference between multi-dimensional and interdimensional. That probably is another whole set of questions. But there is much going on around your planet at this time, not necessarily with our craft. We, as Andromedans, are standing back a little bit further than some of the races that are involved. As to who is involved in your evolution, excuse me, is to do with your vibrational programs, what is appropriate for your contact and your past contact and energy return with those individuals. But for me personally, my life has been, I did say this in multidimensional number one when I explained myself, that you would consider me as a lecturer. My understanding of humanoid interaction is something that I take great interest in. In the last program, we talked about awareness and consciousness and the perspective of self. So, from our perspective and our consciousness, we perceive you in a different way. So we're very, very happy to talk about different ways of thinking, different ways of being, because this is about your evolution. It's not about Oh, hey, come and save us, come and do this, or show us what you can do. Show us you're a real alien and show us, technology. Well, yeah, all of that can come and it will come. But you're transitioning energetically. So, from my perspective, and many of my fellows, I won't call them colleagues, we don't, it's not the right word. Oh, yet again, your language fails us. We feel, we see that understanding the way that you think, understanding the way that you process information, understanding what you think, how you think is so important. Unless you understand that, how can you move forward? Otherwise, you're going to be using the same footsteps in the same trackways, stuck going round and round in circles. So we are here to talk about your consciousness and the evolution of your consciousness. We're not here, well, we can talk about ourselves and the way that we are, the way that we think, and we have done that. But our prime motive, I suppose, if you call that, is because you are part of us, our multidimensional souls. Our multidimensional souls, as I said in the last interview, if we call it that, were multidimensional selves helping multidimensional selves. But consciousness and understanding yourself is so important. And in some ways, how can you really understand what we're like unless you understand how you process information? We talked about your consciousness. We talked about your regressives, manipulated programs within your consciousness, within your perceptions, even within your enlightenment. Olaka talked about how it was corrupted. So you will understand us better when you understand yourselves better. That is not to be derogative. Um, I'm speaking the truth of that when I say understand yourselves.
No, that's brilliant. Now, something that's sprung into my mind, and audience, you have the ability to ask questions. You have the ability, and we will be doing a show in the very near future where it can be a Q and A. It won't be live, but it can be a Q and A. So please start putting some like question for Rob in the comments and asking questions that you want about 5D, 4D, all sorts of questions. I can't think of the questions. One of the questions that I might ask my in one of these, I was recently at Stonehenge and Avebury and some of these old structures. Now, are you able to talk about the history that we don't know? Is there a remembrance for you as to look into almost the historical record of our world, our understanding? And are you able to answer some of the historical questions that we have questions for?
History, of course, as you know, has been manipulated to provide a story that fits a certain agenda. So the first thing to think about is the fact that your history is incorrect. Your history also happens in jumps of evolution, rewriting of programs. So there are big jumps in history, big jumps in civilizations, downfalls of civilizations, some of which may seem more complex than others. So the energies of the earth, Gaia, if you wish to call her that, are to do with the interaction with the souls that exist upon the surface. The two are symbiotic. So the energy that flows through the earth as a creator in itself, having experienced or experiencing what it creates as a form to give life experience. Can you imagine to be an entity and what that might feel like to have beings that you allow around you, that you allow life for? Perhaps you can't with your consciousness, as we talked of consciousness and awareness, to be to allow such freedoms to be abused in some ways, to know that what you do is you do for freedom, for experience, to give it freely. So cultures like Stonehenge, different origin races, if we call them that, but there are many origin races. And it's where they connect with earth energies, because these earth energies are connected to universal energies. These universal energies have been, all have been changed by different visitors. As you know, there have been experiments with your DNA that you're of many races involved in your DNA creation before your DNA was corrupted, before you allowed the downfall, the freedom to have these changes. And we watched and we could see these things going on. We allowed. Doesn't make us more special. Our souls are on earth having these experiences as well. So again, that brings in a different way of observing. Specific questions as to specific cultures we could perhaps look at or answer, but I have no agenda to talk about any race in particular. But I would say, what is it that you want to know? But why do you want to know that? You see, because that tunes directly into my objective. Oh, I'm a manipulator. I have an objective, which is to talk about awareness, why you think what you do. So in some ways, yes, we will answer questions, but I'm also saying, why are you asking that question? And we can then look at actually the reason why you're asking that question. So, yes, I find it rather ironic and funny to think that I have an agenda when you might consider that as a benevolent being that I would have no agenda. Yes.
And again, from the audience, what was just said there, there's lots of questions that I could come up with, and even the agenda question. Feel free to ask whatever you want. Nothing is off the table. And Rob will go through the questions with myself, and we'll try and produce questions that will hopefully flow from one to the other so it's not too bitty a show and it kind of flows in a way. But please do ask the question.
And
This is contact now
and
with
something
you.
that Andromeda is saying is that um, don't let Rob have the questions in advance
Okay.
because he'll bring his consciousness in, or I will bring my consciousness in. So I'm the same thing. It's all as you say, multidimensional. So it's then at that moment, relative to that moment, organic as it is, without the conscious mind of Robert being involved. And I say that as Robert perspective as well.
Yeah. Superb. And again, there we go. I've learned something today as well. So I shall make sure I have questions ready for Robert. So please put in the questions, comments, question, put Q, question, and then ask the question away. And we'll get a list of questions so that you can actually ask a question to a different race a multi-dimensional race that is not from here, was not born in this realm. What an opportunity. What an opportunity.
I'll have to not look at the question, look at the responses.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not allowed to, when this one comes out, Rob, you're not allowed to look at it, all right? No, that's brilliant. So
He is very, very keen to work with you in this way and just to be organically um, answering in his way, as he did just then about um, turning the question round on why the question. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's brilliant. So we have a major opportunity here. Well, totally blessed that Rob came into my life, and let's make the most of this. Let's make the most of this. So we're not going to be flying in the craft just yet, but we can talk to people who have done such things, not necessarily too often here, but have done in the universe. What an opportunity. With that, everybody, we shall catch up with you very soon. So it's goodbye from me and
Goodbye from me.
bye, everyone.
Russ.
Us, yes. And please don't forget, sorry, before we go, to like, share, and subscribe to Rob Lomax. He's got an email, not email. Uh, I can never get this right, you know.
YouTube, Facebook, and a website which has got lots of information, um, plus if I can direct people towards that way, a video called Universal Soul by Robert Lomax. If you look it up on YouTube, it's the Andromedan explanation of the universe creation and our part in it. And it's called the Universal Soul. So it gives a different perspective on dimensional realities and creation. Thank
Well
you.
said. Thank you very much. So with that, everybody, bye bye.